It prints our results out right after the test.
It only takes 9 minutes and a swab for police to figure out if you are under the influence of cannabis. This is one of the tools police use to determine if someone is under the influence. It is the Sotoxa mouth swab test for cannabis impairment. Corporal Andre Sieber is with the Regina City Police. She's an impairment specialist. Sieber wants people to know that they can be charged with DWI for smoking cannabis and driving.
Whenever we have an impairing substance, we want to make sure that we're keeping our roads safe. And so we test for cannabis impairment on drivers who we suspect have used cannabis recently. So one of the ways that we do that is through a Sotoxa, which is an oral fluid device. It's been approved, obviously, by the federal government for us to use. And it's become a valuable tool for us. It's very convenient for us to take it roadside. And if we have suspicion that somebody has used cannabis recently, then we would give them an oral fluid demand, and then we would test them on this device.
Sieber says that police use roadside sobriety checks for slow reaction times and balance. If a person fails the roadside check or it is obvious they have been using cannabis, then they can expect a mouth swab test. The Regina Police mouth swab test can only detect a cannabis level 5 times higher than the legal limit. But these tests can detect cannabis up to 6 hours after use, depending on how much was used. That sets up a legal problem. Jack Lloyd is a criminal lawyer practicing in Toronto. He specializes in cannabis and psychedelics. He says that there is a difference between being physically impaired and being legally impaired.
What makes me concerned, and it concerns many people, is the fact that someone could be found statutorily guilty of impairment, and they could be convicted criminally. They could be, potentially jailed over that issue, when in fact they are not impaired. They have not consumed any impairing substances, and they are driving safely.
I decided to put it to the test and try it myself. I volunteered to be tested. I had smoked cannabis 12 hours prior to the test.
This is showing us that in your oral fluid right now, you're exceeding the legal limit.
I failed the test. Had that been a roadside test, I could expect to lose my license for anywhere from 3 days to a year, depending on the circumstances. It should be noted that the swab I used was an expired one that the police use for examples. Corporal Sieber says the Regina Police are aware of the inconsistencies between physical and legal intoxication. She says that the roadside sobriety tests are supposed to compensate for those inconsistencies. For Inca News, this is Eric standing on the road.